Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday, August the 28th, and welcome to our video commentary. Well, we've been looking at some polling data to see if the events of last week had any impact on President Trump's approval, and so far they have not. The first poll that came out from NBC Wall Street Journal has him at 46%. Now, to be fair, some of those polls, or some of that poll, was done earlier than last week, so it may not include the events of last week. But Rasmussen, they do the daily tracking poll, and in that particular poll, he's at 46%. So the bottom line is that the events of last week, the bad news, if you will, of last week, the bad week for President Trump, at least so far, does not seem to be having much of an impact on his support. And I think there's a couple of things going on. First of all, I think there is a certain political equivalent of the boy who cried wolf. I'm sure all of you remember the story about the boy who cried wolf, and after a while, nobody was paying attention to him. And I think that's what's happening to some degree. You know, when you have every 30 seconds, every 60 seconds, every minute, every hour, a new scandal, a new breaking story about this and this and this and that, after a while, I think you wear out people, and people just tune you out. They just tune you out and say, you know, call me when you've got something real. So I think that's part of what's happening. Saturation, if you will. A saturation of a story. You know, after a while, it's just the same thing every single day. The other problem, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is that I think that there's two audiences in the country. One audience basically cannot get enough of anti-Trump stuff. You know, they need something every day. They need something every minute. They have to, you know, turn on MSNBC and get the very latest and the very latest scandal, the very latest controversy. You know, they just can't seem to get enough. And then I think you have the other audience, which in my opinion is a larger audience, and that's people who are basically busy with their lives, and they're not tuned in to every single thing happening in Washington. And I think that audience has basically, as I mentioned before with the boy who cried wolf, that audience is basically saying, you know what, let me know when there's something real and I'll tune in and watch. But right now I'm too busy with my job, I'm too busy with my family, I got too many things to do, it's summertime, and I'd rather spend my Friday nights outside the yard talking to my wife than you know, watching the latest conspiracy about President Trump. And I think that's what's happening, and that's why all of this bad news is not having the impact on President Trump that maybe conventional wisdom would say that it's supposed to have. So we'll see how it goes. But at least so far, the events are not hurting President Trump's approval. And some of the other news coming out, like for example, economic news that seems to get better every week. Now you have the trade deal with Mexico. I think this is actually going to help President Trump keep that base and keep that number. My message to the people who hate Trump and the people who are constantly every day invested in something new about Trump, my message to you guys is you need to tone it down a bit. You need to lower the volume. You may even want to take a vacation from all the Trump bashing, because this daily Trump bashing, I don't think, is hurting Trump one bit. We have all of these videos on YouTube, we have them on Twitter, and we have them on my blog. And if August 28th is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.